Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, glad to be back.
John, last week the angry geologist trashed Serengeti and its Quanica copper gold project, yet the stock is up anyways. What's that all about?
Well, Jim, that's really interesting. The angry geologist is an anonymous individual who publishes analyses about exploration plays through a blog spot. And from what we've seen in the last, 3 years or so, this person is very sophisticated, an actual geologist. They use a leapfrog system to model results and sort of say, well, this is not happening, or this is very interesting, and it's been pretty sort of laser focused and pretty good. But this article that was posted on January 16th was really weird because it was called, Serengeti, buffing the banana, and it used language that was very strange. There was, repeated words in it. It really sounded more like a drunken geologist had hijacked the blog spot and posted this. And the essence of what the angry geologist was saying is that the Quanica project of Serengeti, as described in the PEA that they published in April 2017, almost 2 years ago, really is no good. And that isn't news to anybody. Anybody who looked at the PEA realized, well, this is never going to be developed at the gold and copper prices that we have. So it was an attack on the company for continuing to work on it. It was an attack on Daewoo POSCO, which was put up $8 million to earn a 35% interest. And by the way, the amount that allows them to earn the 35% interest, it's basically reflecting the $20 million that has already been sunk into this. So there isn't any attempt to spin this as some fantastic deposit that's guaranteed to go into production. But Daewoo POSCO spent a fair bit of time deciding on whether to proceed with this. And the strategy that they've developed is to try and make this deposit better. So last year they did a lot of geotechnical drilling, also from different angles, designed to help them better understand the domain model. And they do think that they may be able to get a higher grade, at least for the gold in the resource. But the other thing they were working on was to come up with a different mining model. One of the problems with this project is it starts off with open pit mining, and then it needs to develop an underground portion with sink a shaft and do block caving. And that's an extra capital cost. So part of the strategy in producing a new pre-feasibility study expected in June of this year is to push that capital cost of the underground development farther down the road by being able to mine more of the open pit. And so they expect to be able to produce an updated resource estimate in mid-February or so, which will tell us whether they've had any success in improving the grade. But that itself will probably not make the project work at the copper and gold prices of today. What will be really important is in the pre-feasibility study, do we see that by changing the cash flows, the negative cash flows and the positive cash flows with a different mining model, does this thing have better net present value and internal rate of return than indicated by the April 2017 PEA? So this attack on this project seemed to really come out of the blue. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It really hasn't helped the reputation of the angry geologist. And this idea of, having these blog spots, it's a fairly new thing. Another very popular one out there is the Inca Kola blog spot, and the individual who runs that, his name is now pretty much known by everybody. He also has a separate fee-based service where he does analysis of companies. But with the ones where they are anonymous, it's a bit unfair because they can, from behind their wall of anonymity, they can pretty much say what they want, and it's very difficult for others to respond. But in this case, the angry geologist does allow others to post comments, and this buffing the banana piece has attracted thoughtful observations by others pointing out, well, what you're saying is fair if that's what this is all about, but it's unfair in what's really going on trying to change it. It'll be interesting to see how many more of these anonymous sort of geologists and engineer start to resurface. The Share Collective, of which I am a founder, is actually designed as a place where these type of people with a very good knowledge about the space can go and do their stuff and even produce a sort of life of mine type valuation and share that into the public domain with all their assumption, and then others can criticize it or share an alternative. And it's a way of quantifying the size of the prize, what it would be worth if it actually became reality. And the whole point of the Share Collective is that anybody who shares anything is assumed to have a conflict of interest, and the goal of influencing the behavior of the market and everybody else through their sharing activity in order to benefit from the conflict of interest. And in such a world where you're not allowed to actually disclose your real name, but whatever it is that you post either hurts or boosts your reputation, in that type of environment, it would be good to see many different angry geologists all taking on a project and engaging in public view in a very sophisticated argument about where this is or is not heading. Right now, when we just have these isolated blog spots all over the place, there is no way for people to really respond to it. So Serengeti, had to field a lot of calls about what is going on here. The stock has been trending up since the start of the year, and that trend has not been affected by this. But it makes others pause and wonder, well, if this party is attacking this company in this manner, there must be something wrong. And there isn't necessarily anything wrong. The Inca Kola writer attacked Arizona Mining's Hermosa Taylor project and really jumped onto that short-selling syndicate's fake news attack where they claimed that the manganese content was a fatal flaw. Well, $2 billion takeout later at $6.20, it turns out that was not an issue, and the whole thing was really a fabrication for short-selling syndicates. So when people like the angry geologists come out and attack something, it raises suspicions that maybe they're working with somebody, and they probably aren't. But it does undermine the credibility of what they are doing.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the Pink, symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Nevada Exploration provided an update on work done last year in the South Grass Valley project. Did it have anything interesting to report?
They reported the results for hole number 5, which was 400 meters west of hole number 4. And this hole did not really improve the story significantly other than to confirm that, yes, we have a hydrothermal system, at least 400 meters wide, 2,500 meters long. It has the Carlin Pathfinders in it. It has gold values in it, but it's sort of in the 50 to 100 ppm range, which is way below ore grade for what you want for a Carlin type system, especially one that's going to be likely underground mined. But what was interesting was the visual description of hole number 6, which after they finished hole number 5 last year, they stepped all the way to the northern fence where they had drilled number 2 in the northwest corner, and stepped a further 600 meters towards the northwest, which seemed really odd because based on their gold and groundwater anomaly, they had sort of created a grid of planned drill holes to surround this plume of gold and groundwater. And the idea was to create, drill strategic holes whose values could then be used to vector in on where a high-grade deposit is squirreled away within this hydrothermal system. So when they suddenly stepped out 600 meters to the northwest, getting very close to Goodwin Butte, which is outcropping lower plate rock that has been only modestly altered and is not at all like what we are seeing in the holes that they have drilled through the gravel cover, that raised a few eyebrows. And the drilling stopped in around about December 18th or so for Christmas break. They were down about 420 meters. The target depth for these holes has been 600 meters. They managed to get a financing done, $658,000 at 25 cents a couple of weeks ago, which allowed them to resume drilling. And so they finished this hole. And the upper part description is very similar to what we see in hole number 2, and there's clearly no ore grade in that. But the bottom 230 meters was described as this black carbonaceous material with all the usual buzzwords that you associate with, if gold encased in pyrite were to have piled up, this is where it would be. And the key phrase they threw in there was high secondary pyrite. And it's the secondary pyrite that you want to see in these Carlin-type systems. So the 230 meters that they're looking at is probably the best visual that we have seen come out of this. The stock has only modestly reacted because at this point people say, well, call me when you have ore grade intervals and are close to the system. But clearly something is going on in this northwest direction. Their original north-south corridor that they had interpreted from all the geophysics and the groundwater anomaly, they've now sort of changed it to be a northwest-southeast corridor. So they won't get assays for this until probably mid-February. Next week they'll be at the Roundup doing technical presentations, hoping to get the attention of some gold producers, maybe attract them as a strategic investor. But I think for the first time since they started this drill play in October, investors have reason to hold their breath that maybe we get some ore grade intersection which confirms that this isn't just a big giant hydrothermal system with modest pathfinder and gold background values, but actually has the sort of setting that allowed mineralization to get concentrated and build a sort of not just multi-million ounce but tens of million ounce type of deposits such as Pipeline, Cortez Hills, Gold Rush, and even and of course the original Carlin deposits, Gold Strike. So it's a positive news release to get people to hold their breath and see what the assays are going to give us in mid-February.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Westhaven Ventures reported results for its Shovel Nose project on Monday, and the market reacted in a negative way. What was that all about?
Well, the company had delayed shipping off core for assaying because in December they had been bringing all kinds of either fund manager, analyst types, or executives and their low sulfidation epithermal experts from producers to the site to walk the core, look at it, talk about all of this, and they were all stuck signing confidentiality agreements because obviously when you have an expert come in there and look at this, they can learn a lot more than what you can sort of read in a press release. And the market's been kind of wanting the company to finance, but because of this CA situation, it was not really possible to do this. But the results from that follow-up program last year, they were published on Monday. And the market was unhappy about two things. The first was there wasn't the very high-grade, wide intervals that had been seen in holes 14 and 15 that got everybody very excited about this discovery. And that's not a big deal because the holes that were drilled under number 14 and the step out to the north towards the hole number 12, 6 and 16, they all delivered the kinds of values, 15 to 30 gram per ton gold plus high silver that you want to see for an underground vein type of mine. The second thing that the market was not pleased about was that the hole drilled 100 meters to the southeast of a hole 15, which was a fairly aggressive step out. It only yielded very low-grade mineralization. And that was obvious already in December when they put out a visual description where it was obvious that that hole had not hit anything. But the company added to its press release the interpretation that it believes that this is the root of the epithermal system. Now, these low sulfidation epithermal systems have limited vertical extent, maximum 600 to 800 meters. The gold and silver drop out in the boiling zone, which occurs fairly close to the surface, but sort of where it overlaps with the water table. And if you do your trig and figure out how close this root was to the surface, only 236 meters, it basically said, there's been some sort of faulting that has uplifted the rocks to the southeast, and whatever was there has been eroded away. And that killed the hope that they could very rapidly start just stepping to the southeast and banging off these big intersections, and everybody can do the math and sort of see the tonnage and the ounces start to build. And instead of this being a 1 to 2 million ounce high-grade system, start going into the 5 to 10 million ounce world-class category, such as the Kupol and the Hishikari system in Japan. But so the market sold off on Monday, And of course, Monday was Martin Luther King Day, so Americans couldn't sell, but the company wanted the results out because it was at a conference and was going to be talking to people and didn't want to accidentally leak anything. So, but on Tuesday then, the American shareholders whacked the stock again, so it went down as low as 70 cents. So it's now in that 70, 80 cents range, stabilizing, and the company is saying that, well, even though it's uplifted in that area there, the topography is such so that if you step farther to the southeast, the topography actually goes higher, and it is very likely that this is just a local faulting that has lifted a short portion of the vein up. And when they will go back there in May to do the farther step out, there's plenty of room to pick up the system again. And they have been playing with IP surveys and discovered that the veins in the main area of the south zone where the high grade occurs stand out quite nicely. So because this area to the south is all overburden covered, and nobody has any idea what the geology is, they will be doing IP surveys in that area to see if they can pick up the veins. But the good news that the market sort of overlooked is that the drilling punched through the main vein and intersected a second parallel vein about 150 meters to the east. And they plan to go back shortly with a small drill program, about 5 holes, that is designed to test the eastern parallel vein, and it also had some good values, but the sweet spot seems to be what they say is the 1,200 meter elevation. So this next set of holes will move east of the main vein, zone 1 as they call it, and tackle zone 2 at different elevations to see if the very high grade picks up. And from those drill pad locations, they'll also be able to push it farther to see if there is a third parallel vein in this project. So, although the expectation for instant gratification was dashed by the results, which failed to give similar spectacular values and showed that at least 100 meters southeast of these of hole 15. The high grade is not really around anymore. This project continues to be a very exciting new discovery. The veins are hosted by a rhyolite, which has not been the historical focus for exploration within this Spencis bridge belt, which stretches for 110 kilometers north-south, all of which is now staked, with the majority owned by another junior called Sable Resources, which has projects in Latin America. So they do recognize that the magnetic lows associated with the magnetite destruction that occurs as the fluids came up these structures and circulated through the surrounding rock gives a geophysical signature. They have a lot of area for that they can now tackle for these rhyolite units, and they have at least 350 meters of reasonable continuity of the vein, 2 veins, and that's about a sort of 1 to 2.5 million ton footprint that they have. We of course cannot tell what the grade will be, but if it ends up being 10 grams per ton, you're dealing with about 800,000 ounces. If it ends up being 20 grams per ton, that starts jumping up to 1.5 million. So we already have a very decent discovery. We still have lots of room to grow this system and even find multiple such systems within this property now that they know what they're supposed to be looking for. The key hurdle now for the company is they should finance. Have about $800,000 working capital left from the exercise of warrants. All the information is now in the public domain. Various groups are interested in financing them. We have this overall market that is sort of unsteady. We could still see a sharp sell-off in general equity markets, and who knows how badly that could spiral out of control. So there's a bit of nervousness out there that this company might end up getting caught in a general market downdraft, if they were to pull off a $5 to $10 million financing at these levels, this would be a green light for speculators to come in, because no matter what happens in the big picture, the company will have the fuel in the tank to go in there, delineate this system, step out to the south and start chasing it undercover, and also head to the north where they have the magnetic survey also shows that there are areas of apparent magnetite destruction on the edges of what they think is an intrusion that probably drove this system. So the market setback is actually a bonus for everybody else, because now they can get in at about 60% of the price where it was parked heading into the new year.
John, thanks a lot for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
I was speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.